Hi there, I'm Dave Tobin. We're at Tobin Motorworks today with a couple of special guests. To my right we have
Bill Greener.
Bill Greener. To my left,
the notorious Pierre Hedary.
Alright, so this is going to be our segment on the R107 Mercedes-Benz, specifically the 560 SL. So we each have 560 SLs in mind that we're going to talk about. The car I'm going to talk about is a 1987 red, signal red with cream beige interior. It was a car that I sold last week. It had 4 owners total, original paint, and mileage was 80,250. So an 80,000 mile car on the market. I've seen nice 80,000 mile cars. I mean, you see people asking $25,000 or $28,000 for a car like that. You see other people asking $15,000 for a car like that. I put it on the market at $17,900. Had some interest. It was I just advertised it through my website and through my email newsletter, and somebody from Germany actually flew over to look at the car. The guy flew his son over, who is a mechanic, a BMW mechanic, but they have other 560 SLs, and his son found a few things, and he made this big long list of things. One was the driver's seat heater didn't work on the first position, but it did on the second position.
Had heated seats?
Heated seats.
That's rare.
Oh yeah. So he got very specific. In the end, we put a deal together for $16,000 even, because it needed a couple of things. It needed tires, and I figured let the next guy put tires on it. But that car, 80,000 miles, sold for 16, and I think that's real reasonable money. Could it have done a little bit more on Bring a Trailer? Maybe. But I don't think it was a $20,000 car. I think that 16 was perfectly fair for that car.
What about you, Bill?
Well, my personal experience, I recently sold a 1989 560 SL. It was in smoke silver with a light brown interior, which was in absolutely perfect condition, no cracks.
And where was that car from, Bill?
The car was from Palm Springs, California.
The best place in the country to buy a car. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, do you think so?
I do.
It had every piece of documentation from the day it was born. A lot of proactive service had been done on it. The finish was good. I thought it was just an excellent looking and certainly excellent running car. I traded it to a dealer in Florida for another car. They gave me $17,000. I personally thought that it would have retailed for around $23,000. I know the dealer listed it on their website for, I believe it was $27,000 or $28,000.
I actually had a guy, by the way, email me about that car, about your car.
And when I spoke to the dealer, I said, "Oh, did you sell the car?" Because they were really impressed by the condition that it was in. And they said, "Oh, yes, that went off the lot right away. It was so nice."
It did.
But I didn't understand from them what they actually sold it for.
And the mileage of that car?
That was 85,000 miles, but the way it had been maintained,
There was a binder this thick.
at least 5 inches thick.
Yeah, it did have crazy records. The red car that I sold, with about less miles, 5,000 less miles, didn't have nearly. I mean, it didn't have much at all. But that was a nice car, smoked silver with brown. Yeah.
And we had done new timing chain replacement, all new brakes, metal brake lines. We'd gone completely through it before I obtained it, which was a couple of years ago, and slightly before that, the second owner had put $15,000 worth of service into it. So it had been impeccably maintained throughout its life.
Wow, it was like a new 560. I actually had a customer that I had told about this car, and I said, "You should really buy it." And of course, he was like, "Well, I don't know what I want to do," because, the problem is with these cars, people focus on the odometer reading too much instead of the actual maintenance.
And the year of the car, which I think is crazy.
It's really you're best off buying a well-maintained car. I had just put a deal together between a good friend of mine who owned the car and a friend of mine who wanted a 560 SL for a similar car to this car and Bring a Trailer. This is a 70,000 mile car, and the timing chain still at 7 degrees of stretch. So we had to put a timing chain in it. We had to do things like replace spark plugs and change fluids and everything. So if you think you're getting a 60 or 70,000 mile car and you're going to avoid the timing chain expense, and you're going to avoid the expense of really having to do any repairs at all to the climate control system, you're wrong. You know, you can put just as much money into a 50,000 or even 30,000 mile car as you can into an 80,000 mile car, and really impeccable service and maintenance by a knowledgeable shop is the best way to acquire a 560 SL. You know, mileage be damned.
So so the moral of the story with a 560 SL is it really comes down to having a binder full of receipts, and whether it has,
By the right
miles
person.
Yeah,
I mean, you could
right,
generate
that's
a
true.
binder of receipts where the Mercedes dealer goes, oh, there's a little wetness around this axle. We need to pull the differential and reseal it. That'll be $2,500.
Right.
But yeah, what you're saying.
But it comes down to maintenance. And one of the things that scares me most when somebody calls me with a car that they'd like me to represent or buy from them, and it has, maybe it's a 28,000 mile 560 SL, and I say, what kind of service records do you have for it? They say, well, it only has 26,000 miles. It's never really needed much. That's the scariest thing that I can hear, because, just because things haven't broken doesn't mean that it doesn't need things throughout its life. So,
And I think one bottom line, I don't think it's the bargain of the early versions of the Porsche Boxster, but to get a fantastic sports car, cabriolet, made by Mercedes, that is very stylish and high quality.
And durable.
And durable. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have a fantastic classic car in one of these.
yeah.
Right, you don't. It's true.
What do you think about a 380 SL as opposed to a 560 SL?
I don't personally have any issues with the 380. I think that if you were looking, I have to preface this a little bit. If you're looking for an SL you can drive and enjoy, that gets really good fuel economy for what it is, and is efficient and very reliable, there's nothing wrong with getting a 380 SL. If you were looking at an early 380 SL with low mileage, like an 81 to an 83, you're better off just putting your money into a decent, well-maintained, 50,000 mile 560 SL, because I don't think that basically hermetically sealed 380 SLs are a good value proposition, especially considering the timing chain issues, and on the 81, the big letdown of the car using the servo style ACC2 climate control system. I don't think I'd get an 81 380 SL, but as far as an 84 and 85 goes, or even a really clean 83 that had the timing chain update done, those are cars that I would probably tell somebody to get if they were in good order and they wanted an SL to enjoy.
Yeah, I used to steer people to 560s all the time when they said they wanted a 380, but when it comes to just a good car to drive, I think a 380 is a fine example. So many people worry, if they want an R107, it has to be an 89, it has to be a 560 SL. They don't want an 88, it has to be an 89. But those people are thinking about the money. They think it's an investment.
Same as the 71 280 SL people.
Right. But I think that if you're gonna have one of these as an investment, and I think they can be decent investments, but they end up, it's got to be a low mile car and interesting colors, and you can't drive it. So it depends what you want to do with it.
What would you drive a 380 SL, Bill? Let's say you lived in a warm climate and stuff.
I don't really have any experience with the 380 SL.
So that's our 560 or our R107 discussion on the 560, and I guess I brought the 380 SL into it.
Well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Or even, there are a lot of great R107s out there that we're probably going to discuss in another video that you may not even be aware of.